everyone. Welcome back to Path of Spirals Tarot. It's me, Claire. It's your girl. That's right, she, her, or Fae Fair, if I'm allowed to choose my pronouns here on the internet. I love a little Fae moment. Today, we are going to be doing a career spread using the Fountain Tarot. But first, a little astrological update. If you're just more into the evergreen universal readings, feel free to skip ahead. But we had a couple of interesting astrological placements and things happening today on February 18th. We had Venus entering the same north nodal axis as the eclipse from yesterday, because there was a major solar eclipse yesterday. It's entering in Pisces, which has to do with your relationships, okay? So these two are entering, or rather Venus is entering Pisces at a 9 degree and 37 minute degree. Venus is entering that same nodal axis that was already just activated by the eclipse yesterday as it starts its journey through Pisces. So here, think about matters of love, values, connection. They'll feel intertwined with future direction, okay? And at 9 degrees, relationships and desires might feel more settled or like in place on a subtle dreamlike level, as though an intuitive knowing has quietly arrived about that relationship, okay? So think about like romantic relationships in particular might start to feel serious enough to maybe contemplate a next step. This moment asks us to reflect on how we are weaving our future together with another and whether shared values align with the path that's unfolding ahead. And then, as well, the sun is entering Pisces. So Pisces season's officially happening today at 0 degrees. This is the long-awaited arrival of Pisces season in 2026. We've already seen Mercury and Venus move into Pisces, but now this energy is coming fully online, right, guys? The sun, which represents our consciousness, identity, vitality, collective focus, it's turning our attention more inwardly, right? Highlighting themes of surrender, reflection, maybe spirituality, emotional sensitivity. And as we move through the final third of winter in the northern hemisphere anyway, and summer in the south, there's an invitation to soften, rest, and attune to subtler currents beneath the surface of daily life. So think about the collective focus turning inwardly, surrendering, reflecting, dreaming, being more emotionally sensitive in this next season of the zodiac, okay? Okay. Now today we have 3 glyphs to indicate group 1, 2, and 3. We have a chalice, we have a hand, a left hand, I'm left-handed, guys, and a heart. But mind you, this is going to be a career-focused reading, even though we have a couple of like emotional-based glyphs. But a lot of times making career decisions requires our emotions. So let's see what the 6-card spread has for each group today. All right, everyone. Today we are using the beloved Fountain Tarot deck. We have groups 1, the chalice, group 2, the hand, group 3, the heart, and we have a career spread that I've programmed for these cards today, where we'll be pulling 6 cards. 1 will be what you gain from your career. 2, what you've learned from past mistakes revolving around your career or past careers. 3, what calls most to you / from you. 4, what the present situation holds revolving career. 5, where the door is open. Possibilities could be. And 6, what to expect by taking a risk. Okay, so without further ado, let's choose a group and let's get into it. All right, group 1, my chalice. Let's give our cards a good shuffle as we call in God's mercy and protection, our highest timelines, our ancestors, our spirit guides, our totem animals, all positive, best outcomes, and the best message for your highest good today when doing this career reading. We'll also put a crystalline dome over our reading to bring in and hold in, lock in positive energies and keep out anything lower frequency. Queen of Wands, we already love to see it. Now we just do a little shuffle here. And let's get these cards laid down. What you gain from your career. There it is. There she is. We got plenty of room here today in the reading. What you gain from your career. What you learn from past mistakes. I see it. This is what you're learning. 3, what calls most to you / from you, is what is seeking you. What you are seeking is also seeking you, am I right? 4, what the present situation currently holds revolving your career. Where the door is open and what to expect when taking a risk. Perfect. We have plenty of room here for all of our cards. What you gain from your career. 10 of coins, you're getting that money. What you learn from past mistakes. Ace of Wands. You've learned how to not be blocked, I guess, around like when new passion and fiery energies visit you, when creative spark or a fast-moving potentiality comes in. You have learned not to block your own blessings. What calls most to you and from you? Celebration, having other people around you. An environment where others see what you're doing and what you got going on and they want more of it. 5, where the doors open. Right? Is this 4? No, sorry. No, this one is what holds the present situation. The present situation. Oh, so we've had a lot of good cards up to this point, but we have the Fountain card in reverse, which the Fountain card is the only card in this deck that exists outside of RWS. And when it's upright, it's about being, and just like in flow state. Upside down is about being too much in your mind, your logical mind, resisting the flow. So the current situation has something of a resistance to it, despite what we have pulled. Where are the doors open with your career? Oh no, I flew on the ground. Oh, the Lovers. Where the doors open. Okay. What to expect by taking a risk. Needing to chill out and calm down. All right, so I'm already seeing a couple things here. Group 1's reading is telling me that like you already have a career that's established for you, whereby you are financially successful. You have learned how to seize the moment within your career. This card also, this being a lesson, I'm just going to turn it upright because it doesn't really matter whether or not it's upright or like or reverse. Is this card's about learning how to seize a moment or an opportunity within your career. I'd also see this as like a promotion, knowing how to ask for what your worth is, knowing how to like follow through, knowing your worth. So like something tells me these cards are already have you pretty decently established in your career. However, with the chalice and the cup being like kind of the glyph that sets the tone, is like I can't help but feel that there are other relational things coming in here where like the work is the career is almost in a way the least of your problems, in the sense of what you feel like you lack or what could be in better balance. But it's more about being in flow state, being emotionally and spiritually tapped in. And that there's also a Lover's card here where the door is open. So something's telling me here that there, as much as I wanted this to be a career-driven, something about your career, we have emotions coming in here. We have, I mean, if we talk about this with yourself, like a union with yourself, we could say that like the cost of your career in a sense has made you a little bit less in touch with your emotions, a little bit less present, and a little bit less in touch with maybe self-care, because like first and foremost you have to know how to love and care for yourself before you are with others. However, there's a possibility that this could also indicate you have a relationship maybe on the horizon that's coming to make you question a little bit like how things are flowing with your career. And having the Four of Wands being what calls most to you and from you is that you're looking for a sense of community, looking for other people to celebrate. Like you want to share what you have with somebody that matters is what it seems like. But what to expect if you're taking a risk and shifting any of this energy is about the Four of Swords. And that is about resting, decompressing, chilling out. He looks a bit exhausted here in the cards. But I do feel called to read what does the Four of Tarot say about the Four of Wands. A quiet space. So the Four of Swords is often known as the meditation card. It indicates that you are in or have just gotten over a difficult time and you need to rest, reflect, and reconnect with yourself. When we are troubled, our mind plays tricks on us, imagining hopeful escapes or tragic demises. Quieting your mind is an act of humility, which allows you to enlist divine intelligence, your true voice. It won't make the problem go away, but in the space of stillness, you can bring fresh perspective and invite new ideas to appear. So this is a time to quiet the mind, respite from difficulty, recuperation, engage listening, release gratitude, and return to your center. Okay, so something tells me that like now that you have kind of reached a spot in your career where you have these things, you know, it's sort of, it's giving a little bit like grass is always greener on the other side, or like you needed your financial security independent. So independent nature of your life and career to be established, and it is. But now, like, you see, you almost have this shift from, like, yellow energies, and it suddenly becomes, like, more and more, like, blue. You know? So you're going from, like, getting yourself established to being like, I'm established, but things feel a little out of balance internally. And I'm imagining, what it would be like to share what I have with other people. And that the outcome of taking a risk, the risk doesn't necessarily feel like moving away from your career, but it is about expanding your mind and reprioritizing your time outside of work before potentially making an eventual change where maybe you work a little bit less, or you find there might be something about this work that's quite demanding. I don't know if it's like corporate, but it feels full time. It feels like it really pulls on a lot of your energy and keeps this card, because like this card wants to be upright. Like having the fountain card upright is such a blissful elated card. It's like the gift of all of the cards to get, and it wants to be upright. So imagine, like, what would you have to do for this to be upright? It's saying that you need to meditate. How are you spending your time outside of work? Because maybe here too, if what calls most to you and from you is to like be around others outside of work, something tells me your work might be somewhat isolating and you like want to go out and socialize, like you want to be around people. You might be a little bit more, how would you put it? A little bit more outgoing potentially. Yeah, so that could also indicate to me that outside of work, you like to spend your time socializing. But like, are you socializing in a way that allows these other energies to be more in balance? Because you could potentially be going to places that perhaps drain your energy, or you're meeting people that aren't at the same juncture as you. So I might see this sort of as like maybe a change in what you do outside of work to connect with different kind of people and to create this balance that you're looking for. Okay, I feel like that's all I really have for Group 1's career reading, just because it didn't feel like there was so much going on with the career itself. It's more about a call and a reminder to balance your emotional and spiritual self and refill your cup. Refill your cup so that this card can be upright. The Lover's card, I do have questions about it, but it feels a little ambiguous, and you need to kind of get right with these before we see what happens with that. That's interesting. Thanks, Group 1. Hello, Group 2. Time to start your reading, your career reading with your little hand. We'll put the hand glyph up here, and let's give all the cards a little shuffle and figure out what you gain from your career. That's what you gain. Wonder what it is. What could it be? What you've learned from your past mistakes with your work in any capacity. Okay, hello. What calls most to you and from you. What you seek is also seeking you. Okay, hello. I think that one and this one. What the present situation holds. 4. 5. Where the door is open. What to expect by taking a risk. Okay, cool. See what you got going on. Okay, what you gain from your career. Okay, you're currently in a sort of place in your career where you're building up, kind of going up the ladder. Like you have something going on, but you might be slightly in apprenticeship energy. You're learning how to also balance your finances outside of your work. So this doesn't feel like somebody who's been like super established in this career that they've started for super long. Or if they've been in it for a while, you are still in this energy of like Knight of Coins. And Knight of Coins is kind of looking at this, he's kind of the energy like, damn, everything costs money. Damn, I gotta be grinding to go get paid. Okay. Okay, what you've learned from your past. 2 of Cups. Okay, something about like you have learned about relationships with your career. Maybe networking, like to get to where you are. Something says maybe like this has been an internship or an entry-level job, and you learned that like connections and socializing are like more than half of getting the job. It's not just your qualifications is what this is kind of telling me. But what calls most to you / from you. 8 of Coins in reverse, a medicine around apprenticeship. So you're struggling a little bit with like the apprenticeship of this work. So I'm already seeing that like there's a little bit of an imbalance with like being in this career or like in this current job that you're in. You got in because you knew people, but maybe, and you knew that you wanted to make money, but you're like, ooh, there's like a blockage around like getting to work with the apprenticeship of it all, if it's blocked. Because we'd like to see it upright, but for some reason it's blocked. But let's see if we can unblock it. 4, what the present situation holds. Page of Cups. Okay, so the present situation holds an energy that is also like a virtuous emotional energy. So like you're a kind of tender and sensitive soul that's like in the thick of all of this energy. And so you're noticing that like your emotional self kind of like runs the show with your work. Sorry about my phone. Where the doors open, a place of trying to make a decision. Okay, so I'm already feeling like you gotta sit. You're grateful that you got the opportunity. You're grateful you got the opportunity. You're grateful for the people that helped you get it. Something about this isn't clicking. It's maybe not like in sync or in alignment with like your emotional creative self. Like I feel like this is almost like a kind of grunt work type of thing. You took it on because you needed the money. Okay, the doors open in the need to make a decision and what's waiting when you take a risk. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay, what a little tricky set of cards we have going on here. But let's take a closer look. Had to pause that for just a minute. Okay, so when we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed, it's giving us a heads up about making a decision here, okay? So the through line is you currently have something that's making you money. Past mistakes, you have learned that networking matters, relationships to people matters. That's more than half the battle of getting the job. But also, the networking without the alignment that we're going to see later on can also lead to this feeling. And right now, you have a couple things. Like there is some money return. Like there is an immediate return on what you're doing for your work, but you're not maybe improving fast enough with it, or it's not fueling you in the ways that you'd like. And there's like a slight net negative to your work each day that's causing these other energies to form. Okay, and that makes sense. A lot of work in the world is kind of grunt work. A lot of work in the world is just that. It's just work. But for you, you seem to be somebody who has a little bit more, you need a little bit more depth to the work that you do, a little more thoughtfulness. And it sort of feels like, sometimes you just got to go out there and give something a go, give it a try and see how you react to it. And right now it sort of feels like you're kind of invested in something. You have seen how it is and what it means to do some work, to be at your job. But now this Page of Cups energy here, like, what the present situation holds is an energy of the Page of Cups. So I would feel like this partially obviously indicates you being a sensitive creative person, but the Page of Cups also presents itself as a virtuous new endeavor that look, he's like opening a box with his little cup and he's exploring something new. And that's leading to a sort of tension where you need to make a decision about what to do when you see or feel another possibility. And that the outcome is potentially the Wheel of Fortune reversed. So I wouldn't say that this is necessarily discouraging, but I sort of feel like you're somebody who is at their job being in this energy and like, I'm at my job, I don't really like this. And so you keep being visited by this energy. This is the antidote. And so you're keeping like, when should I make a decision about that? You need to make a decision when you know for sure that this is going to be more of the outcome. And when the Wheel of Fortune comes, it talks about reaping what you sow. So it's going to be in reverse if the decision you make is made in haste and there's no planning and it's not strategic. But it will be upright. You can, the future can always change. Like this is not set in stone. You need to have a plan. You need to not just have your heart in it, but you need to create an actionable step. Maybe also like bridging, like you're still doing this other work, but then you start setting the groundwork for something else so you can transition away from this. It's possible. Jump in the net will appear, but know what you're jumping towards. Because I could also imagine that this is sort of a phase where there's like a lot of dreaming while you're doing this grunt work and you're like, oh, well, like what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I did this? What if I did that? Your hand is reaching for every possible opportunity. But when it comes to like making a shift, you want to make sure that you are strategic and you have an actual plan. Like you've written things down, you've written a pros and cons list. Because I think part of what's getting in the way of making the decision is that for a while you've just been like kind of comfortable with dreaming and thinking about a different reality. Like jumping into a different timeline, just imagining it has kind of been the salve for you. It's been enough up into a point. But now we almost need to like pretend that these cards don't exist. You have just these 3 cards. How are we going to get them all upright and feeling good and happy? You're going to take the steps that you need to outline the visions you're having, because visions are visiting you because they want you to be the one that brings them to earth. Okay. And, there's sort of this sense of the through line with all of these cards is there's a little bit of like beginner energy, virtuousness, naivete, And that, sometimes you have to make a decision. And if the ultimate outcome is something of like the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, is that there's going to have to be some readjusting, like what you're anticipating and the outcome might be a little bit different at first. But also know that redirection is like protection. So anticipate that the outcome would be maybe not something you can anticipate immediately, but also just know that when you're jumping with a good intention and making those decisions, sometimes there has to be like a little setback before you move forward again. And I sort of feel like the fear of this card is kind of what keeps you from making a decision. So think about also as well, like another good visualization you can do is say like, imagine the worst case scenario. Like what happens if you do it, and prepare for it. Assume the worst thing could potentially happen. How would you make it through? So think, for example, if the work that you're planning on doing is something you want to change, requires you to have like a savings of like several months from your old grunt work job over here, how can you make a plan so that you have a cushion so that you can take the time? Because something tells me you might be needing that. You might need to be unemployed for a little bit or not actively making money before you make money, So think it through. Once you've thought it through and you've kind of covered all your bases and faced the fear of what this could mean, then eventually it's going to be like this. Okay? But it seems like a change is inevitable. Also, we're not always meant to do the same work our whole entire lives. We're not meant to just be stuck in the same thing. We're allowed to reinvent ourselves. We're allowed to recreate ourselves. And something tells me the energy of this card indicates the group 2 has something of a youthful energy to them. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, good luck making your decision. Always be dreaming. And hey, there's also character building. That's the other thing too here, is like there ain't nothing wrong with building a little character along the way. I've had a lot of those character building jobs in my life, and it really made me into the person I am today, and I learned a lot about what I like to do and what I don't like to do. And sometimes you gotta go be in your 8 of Coins reverse life and be like flopping for a while so that you can be upright on the other side of this. You know what I mean? So that's group 2's reading. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, group 3. We got the heart glyph today. Are you hoping that your reading is going to be something about that vocational work that you love to do for the rest of your life? Let's see. Give all these cards a good shuffle. Right now, first card, what you gain from your career, where you're currently at. Oh, hello. And then the second card is this one. What you learn from your past mistakes. Yeah? What calls most to you and from you? Oh. What the present situation holds. Where the door is open. What to expect by taking a risk. Okay. What to expect. Okay, what you're currently gaining from your career. Nothing. The Sun reversed. That's a pretty intense card to get about a current career situation. The blocked sun. Or maybe it's partially your perspective on your work. Like maybe your work could be like this, but you're just like not seeing it for some reason. Let's see, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. What you learn from your past mistakes with your career. Not everybody has your best interest at heart, because this is kind of the opposite of celebrating with people. Okay. 2 reversals in a row. I can tell you guys really love where you're currently at with how you make money. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, what calls most to you / from you? Oh, the 9 of Swords RX, like overcoming your fear. Why do I feel like there's bullying in the workplace? Why do I feel like you need to go to HR? Okay. 4, what the present situation holds. More swords. Fear. Self-constructed fear. Oh, girl. I feel like there's some unethical things going on in your work. Where the door is open. In delusion, you have many options. But it's also kind of an emotional decision. And since you're so stressed out here, I feel like it's hard for you to make a decision. Okay, what would you expect by taking a risk? Ooh, a better situation. Brighter futures ahead with a relationship with somebody else. I don't know if it's just love or if it's a career, like another partnership, but okay, what the heck job do you work at? Do you work at like the Chernobyl Museum? Do you work at the Mean Girls Incorporated? Do you work at like Do you work at an island by which the elite go to traffic people? Do you work at the 7-Eleven 24/7? You haven't slept at all? Okay, so your current career, having the sun in reverse is pretty intense. I feel like you are not where you want to be at all. Oh god, this was character building where you're currently at. The Four of Wands is the bunch of crabs in a bucket. Okay, so you're going into this place. Okay, and I have a feeling too, like you are the sun. Therefore, by comparison, your work environment does not feel very bright. There's nothing brighter than you, and it's causing like evil eye in the office, and there's just like a lot of weird vibes. Why are people so weird? Like, you know why I work from home. Like I don't leave my house because I go through this as well. People move so weird when you have a lot of light inside of you. And then yeah, the weird stuff like I'm feeling like I'm seeing like playing pranks. I'm seeing like backbiting. I'm seeing all sorts of weird energy. Ugh. I don't even need to read any more of the cards. Like absolutely just get out of there. You want to face the Nine of Swords in reverse. Like this is what's currently calling, from you / to you is the Nine of Swords in reverse. Okay, let's just grab what's this saying about that exactly. Right, Nine of Swords is imagined misery. Okay, so what's calling to you is logic, contentment, humility, diligence. It can also represent rumor and doubt. But what's calling to you, yeah, maybe like humility. Like you have to, what's calling to you right now is like maintaining a low freaking profile in that environment and not trying to draw more attention to yourself than necessary. Did somebody force you to go to this job? Like, what is this? Okay. Sometimes we are forced to go do things we don't want to do, but I want you out of there, girl. Okay, Eight of Swords. Again, that's very akin to like the Nine of Swords here. Eight of Swords is going to be about, yeah, blind fear, mentally trapped, self-doubt, immobility, a seemingly impossible task, obliviousness to one's blindness. I knew that generally, but sometimes we need to have a little bit more, a good description from the book Never Hurt Nobody. Yeah, so part of this whole way you got into this mess was just a lack of foresight and also not really knowing how you affect other people in your environment, and also not being able to anticipate that this environment was going to cause you to feel so dysregulated. Ugh. But also you need to remember that you do have a choice. Like you don't have, like there is another way, and it might be hard to see another way. Like she has this blindfold on. We could anticipate she could likely remove that blindfold herself and like also pull her face away from the swords. Like of all the places you could find your face, like in what situation would you find it surrounded by swords like that? Like basically never. But yet here she is. So where the door is open is in the having so many other possibilities. Like I would imagine that like being in this environment has you constantly trying to clock like where the heck else to go, so something's telling me that like it might also be something tells me that like you might even not have to go and find a new job right away. Like I'm sort of feeling like you have another option. Like you kind of went into this wanting to make a little side money or something like that, or like you just kind of did it not knowing it was going to be like this, and you just like need a break. Something tells me like there's a relationship, like what to expect is like there's some relationship or some other form of like filling up your cup that's waiting for you when you get away from this. So something kind of indicates to me that like it's not so much about you having to make money potentially if you make another choice. Like you have another option where you can rely on your relationships. And something tells me like part of the Seven of Cups is like she's confused as heck because she's dysregulated as heck. Like the two of them are not so far off. It's like she took her blindfold off and she's like, huh? What are we doing? Yeah, so before you're going to like make any other changes, it seems that group 3 has something of a privilege in their back pocket. So don't be too proud to not rely on that for a little bit. This is not sustainable. The whole chain of events here is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Like, do you have a weird boss? I'm feeling like there's like, it's giving like sexual harassment in the workplace. It's giving like bullying. It's like, ugh. Like, have you seen the Nine of Swords upright? Got you feeling like this, but you want to be like this. Girl, like the conflict and the tension is high. And for what? Like like my inner neurodivergence is always like, why do people act like this? Like there's abundance for everybody and people just like need to calm down. People need to chill. So, yeah, you kind of have this pretty terrible arc until it gets better at the end. There's like a pressure release valve in this reading. And everything indicates that like where the doors open and what to expect is like leagues beyond where you've been. So like if you've been looking for like the kick in the butt to like move up on out of where you've been, something tells me too, like maybe there's like a lesson here with your own self-worth. Like if you kind of like got into this, like there's a little bit of naivete, a little bit of like maiden energy, and a lot of bit of like not really knowing your worth and not being fully initiated in that yet. So go where you're appreciated and get back to the drawing board, okay? All right, that's group 3's reading. All right, everyone, this has been Path of Spirals Tarot YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the reading today, please feel free to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. My name is Claire. I make videos 5 days a week. They upload Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 3 p.m. New York time. What is that? You tell me what that is. But in New York at 3 o'clock p.m. is when it's going to be uploaded every day of the week. Through hell and high water, you're going to find me here. So if you love the consistency of it all, if you love a little message, if you just vibe with, you're smelling what I'm stepping in, then I'd love to have you circling back around to my channel. As always, take special care of yourself, my beautiful stars, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.